Welcome to this episode of A Real Change TV. Hey, it's Sandy Kurkowski, and I'm so excited to be with you today on the sixth part of our 7-part series, The 7 Mountain Assignment. Now, if you haven't already watched the other 5 parts, we did the mountain of business, the mountain of media, the mountain of arts and entertainment, the mountain of family, and the mountain of education. Today we'll be covering the mountain of government. Now, this is a mountain that a lot of people have opinions on. And quite frankly, it's a mountain that needs a lot of help. It is a mountain that doesn't need a domination and a takeover. It's a mountain that needs infiltration. It needs shifting, and it needs help. I've got my notes here on my iPhone. Grab your pen and paper as I lead you today on a topic that, to be honest with you, I'm very humbled, and I've had to ask God for a lot of help to get this accurate. There's a lot of opinions about this mountain, and I want to break this news to you very gently, but very boldly. This is not a Republic-Democrat issue. This is an issue of authority. The mountain of government is where authority is in our countries, in our nations, in our states, and in our cities. God has created systems of authority. He's created authority in the government. He's created authority in the church, and he's created authority in the home. The mountain of government is one that absolutely, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out. There's a lot of corruption. But what we need is, if you are called to the mountain of government, to know that you have to be one who brings hope, one who not only declares, decrees, and also masters the concept of independence, but you must have personal independence in your own life as well. So step number 1, if you feel that you have been called to this mountain in any capacity, even if it's just being in a city official, or if you feel that God's anointed you to run for something in the White House, it is imperative that you pursue personal independence. Freedom is what must dominate on this mountain. Freedom is not something that brings oppression, bondage, and harm to one person while another person gets freedom. Freedom is designed to release, to uphold, and to help all of us to grow. This is why each of us, obviously, because of personal preferences, is probably going to have an opinion on Democrat or Republican. But when it comes to the issue of moral value and integrity, when it comes to the issue of infiltrating this mountain and creating the kind of shift and change that we need, personal independence, it has to start with me, is where we have to go. Number 2, the mountain of government not only needs a huge, upheaval and overhaul in the way that things are done, but this mountain is never, ever going to be won or changed. I don't believe, this is my personal opinion, and I believe history backs me up, unless people in this mountain learn to master social media. Now, I'm going to be hosting an event later this fall with my very, very good friend, and who I'm going to call the father of the 7 Mountain Movement, Lance Wallnow. Lance and I probably text at least 5 times per week, going back and forth about what God is doing in the 7 mountains. And here's the issue. This mountain is one that I believe, if you're ever going to win any kind of office, you're going to have to learn how to do social media. Social media is where communication is done on a global scale. I personally have not been called to the mountain of government, but I have been called and anointed and appointed to the mountain of media and the mountain of business, which is where social media sits. And so write this down. If you're called to this mountain, you must master social media. You can't have just a tiny little casual overseeing. Can you imagine The difference between having 30,000 people on a Facebook and a Twitter following versus 5 million. Can you imagine the difference of being able to bring large groups of people together through social media for a cause into this mountain? If you're called to this mountain, you not only must pursue personal independence and master that you can lead other people to freedom, but you also must master social media. The last thing that I want to say is this. If you're called to this mountain, you are called to win hearts. You are called to be hopeful. You are called to lead with possibility. Chris Valentin stated this: the one with the most hope has the most influence. My friends, we can no longer buy into the corruption, the quoting of quotes so that we can win, the assaulting of parties against each other. It is my firm belief that if you are called to this mountain, God will anoint you. He will give you a prophetic tongue. He will give you assignments, and he will give you insight. He will give you favor, but you must master personal independence. You must obviously have accountability. You must be able to use social media. And you, my friends, if you're going to win on this mountain, have to be the one with the most hope. That's how you will win the most influence. The mountain of government, we could go on and on and on. Lance and I are going to spend 2 days this fall to be able to speak on the different mountains and teach you on taking all 7 and how to pursue your gift, calling, and passion. Next week, I'm going to teach on a mountain that a lot of people are very confused about. It's the mountain of religion. It is the mountain where all religions sit. And I'm also want to give you this. On July 15th, next week, we are going to release a video series where I did a full day training in Dallas, Texas. Our Saturday with Sandy event back in April, I took all day and I was teaching on every single gift, talent, and ability spoke of in the Bible. I also talked about all 7 mountains and what it looks like. It is my belief that a lot of people have talked about Joseph mandates and mountain assignments and taking the 7 mountains and about the 7 mountains and the 7 mountain mandate and the 7 mountain call and all of these other different things, but no one has ever showed people what it looks like and how to release them into their destiny. I believe that's where I've been called to go. The 7 mountain assignment, Saturday with Sandy video series, which will be over 6 hours of training on this topic with a full workbook to follow along, as well as a full month of training that I did in my inner circle on how to identify your gifts, talents, and abilities. My friends, I'm here to support you. We'll release that to you next week. But what your assignment is this: find what mountain you've been called to, work on yourself, release your gifts, and become the one God has designed you to be. I look forward to talking to you guys next week. Have a great week.